on them program.
What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in today. Today I wanted to do the first Q&A with you guys. So I had posted on Instagram and Facebook and Snapchat and so on to send me questions you may have and that you may want answered. So we are gonna do that today. I don't feel like it really needs more of an intro, so let's just go ahead and get started. So first up, we have a question from Megan. What was the trigger for you to go from your past lifestyle to your current fitness lifestyle? That is a great question. I touched on this a little bit in the past video where I talked about my story and kind of my path to getting here. But the first time I really made the leap into fitness, into eating better and living this lifestyle was when it was time for my high school graduation. So I wanted to get in shape for the dress, for the event itself. It definitely was something that was motivated by vanity, by maybe my own insecurities at the time. Just to kind of finish the year off on a better note, let's say. But since that time, there's been really many ups and downs where I've fallen down and kind of found new motivation and new reasons to get back up. So, I mean, my motivation changes. So my reason to live this lifestyle changes as my motivation changes. The other really important thing for me was when I was 19 years old, I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. So it started to spread quickly like wildfire to my joints, in my fingers, in my hands, and in my feet. And I couldn't go on the medication. It was making me sick. I didn't want to be on medication for the rest of my life. So the lifestyle change itself, not having foods that would cause inflammation, eating a lot of foods that were anti-inflammatory foods that were actually doing something good for my body, made a huge difference, and it actually stopped it from spreading. So I only have it now, thank God, in a couple of fingers and a little bit in my feet, but it's nothing that I can't get past. So that is and was a huge motivator for me to pursue this lifestyle and to maintain the lifestyle so I can live a comfortable life. Okay, next up. How do you deal with all the haters? On a serious note, when you are in the public eye, this can obviously be an issue. I mean, you don't even need to be in a public eye. Let's face it, any job that you do, this can be an issue. And if you asked me this a year ago, I would have gone Bosnian on your ass, and that's the kind of reaction that I would have had to deal with haters, if you will. Things have changed a little bit since then. I've grown up a little bit since then. I think one of the best pieces of advice my own coach has given me is that I could waste my time responding to these types of people, or I could spend that time building my business, building my clients up, and building myself up. So I choose option 2, and I've chosen option 2 for quite some time now. There are always going to be people who disagree with your ways, who disagree with your personality, with the things that you do, and that's okay. You don't have to please everybody. And I think that's been a huge learning curve for me as well, realizing that I don't have to please everybody, and that's okay, and not everybody has to like me, and that's okay too. So I'd say that's probably been, you know, a challenge, and it's been something that I've been working on over the past year, and I'll continue to work on. But one of my favorite sayings is the best response to a fool is silence. So that's how I would respond to my haters. That's how. Thanks for the question, Mia. Okay, next up. How do I find balance to keep myself sane in all things training, work, and so on? It's hard. It's definitely hard to find balance. And it's hard to find balance because I am a workaholic. I enjoy what I do. I love what I do, and I thrive off being busy all the time. So yeah, of course it's difficult to find balance in training and in working and in having a life, if you will. But I would say one of the best ways that I have found balance is being insanely organized. Now, this may not work for everybody, but I find that if I have a schedule and something that I can really adhere to, it makes it a lot easier to book in time with my friends, to schedule my workouts, to get them done. I try as best as I can to not stray from that schedule. If I say I'm going to get up in the morning, get my workout done before work, I do that. I get my work done for the day, and then I have time left over for family and for friends, and really for anything else that I may need. It is the one thing that really keeps me on track, the one thing that keeps me sane. I book not only things that I need to get done, like my work and appointments and meetings and so on, I book my free time as well. I book coffee meetings with my girlfriends. I book into my schedule walking my dogs. Pretty much anything and everything is scheduled. My schedule is done morning to night, and then it leaves little room for error, and it allows me to see where I put a lot of my time. It allows me to get organized before the week starts. I do it every Sunday before I begin the week. I get my schedule going, I get it ready. And then the other thing is I find that it works a lot better for me to have it physically written down. I buy a new agenda. I know I'm growing up with an agenda, but yes I am. Every year, and write out my schedule every single day, things that I have booked a month ahead. I write it out, I plan it, I plan for things that I'm very OCD, but I don't do a lot of things sporadically, if you will. What I found that works for me personally to having any sort of balance in my life is having a schedule and sticking to that schedule and making sure that I make time for myself, for my friends, for my family, and then maintain my business and my lifestyle and my job. All right, next up, carb type vegetables, carrots, beets, beans, squashes. Okay, this is a nutrition question. Are they vegetables or carbs? Healthiest sources of fat. Okay, so carb type vegetables. I think basically this is just starchier vegetables that Danielle's talking about. So basically, is it a vegetable or carb? Well, it's both. So vegetables are vegetables, if you will, but they're made up of carbs, proteins, so it really depends. I mean, if you're the type of person that's tracking your carbohydrates through the day, you would add your vegetables, you would track your vegetables, you would put it in into your total daily macro and calorie count exactly the same way you would put anything else in. It's just a lot easier to load up on volume food like vegetables if you are on a lower carb or lower calorie diet. When it comes to the fats, the question was kind of the difference between good fat and bad fat, what is it, and so on. So unsaturated fat, polysaturated, monosaturated is the good fat. Those are things that you would get from avocados, nuts, and so on. And those are fats that you do want to keep in your diet. So a lot of the time the misconception when it comes to dieting is that you should cut fat altogether, and that's not true. You shouldn't do that because your body and your brain need fat. So the reason that monosaturated and polysaturated fats are good for you is that they contain omegas, which are good for your brain and for your hormones. So those you want to keep in your diet. Now, trans fats are the ones that you want to avoid. Now, those are things that you would find obviously in over-processed food and junk food and McDonald's and so on, which do nothing for your overall health, but they of course play a bad role in your blood cholesterol levels. If you have any sort of heart issues, blood pressure issues, you want to really watch where you're getting your fats from. Now, the other part of the question was about red meat and beef and eating those types of things. Red meat does have a little bit of trans fat, but it also has a lot of iron and it does have saturated fat. Now, when it comes to saturated fat, there's a big debate because there's not a lot of research behind where it's actually really good for you or bad for you. I kind of take it as one of those things that you should keep in moderation, but just like any other fat. But beef can be a great addition to your diet, even if you are living a healthy lifestyle. Just keep in mind that, of course, there is gonna be a lot of fat in a small amount, so it's gonna increase the calories as well. So you could have, let's say, a much bigger piece of turkey than you could for the same amount of calories and fat of beef. So again, when we're talking about volume, this would play a role here. And as well, if you're having something that doesn't have a lot of fat, like a chicken breast, you could have an additional fat on the side, like coconut oil or avocado. Whereas if you are having beef, the meat itself already contains fat, so you wouldn't be adding fat to that meal. I hope that makes sense. Okay. What else? Binge eating and ways to control cravings on cheat days. Okay, that's an awesome question. Binge eating is something, I mean, there's so many, we could talk about binge eating for days. There's so many different ways to look at it. I don't think this is referring to the actual eating disorder of binge eating. I believe this is referring to controlling your cheats and your refeeds and your treats and so on. So when it comes to treat meals, cheat meals, and so on, they should have a purpose. I mean, this is going to completely depend on how you're dieting, so it's not going to apply to everybody, but it really depends on how you're dieting. If you are on, let's say, a weight loss program and you stick to your diet all week and you're amazing and you're a rock star and you make some great changes, and then comes the weekend and you have this huge binge, and then you start things back up on Monday, you're basically you're at the same place where you started last week, right? So all the progression you made during the week has now been erased from the weekend. It is really easy to add up calories with shitty food. We just talked about the difference between the carbs and the fats and so on. So it's really easy when you're not eating volume food to get those calories in like that, and you might have a weekend that's passed and now you've eaten 7,000 extra calories and now you gain 2 pounds. So that's totally possible. When it comes to preventing things like binge eating and eating in moderation, I think it really depends on you as a person as well. I know that some people literally can't control themselves if you give them a cheat meal, even if you give them a calorie cap. So those people, if you can control yourself with little amounts, I would suggest having 100 to 200 calorie treat a day as opposed to having a huge binge at the end of the week. Even if you do eat 200 calories a day, that's going to add up to 1,400 calories in a week. So that is definitely not a pound. It's about half. Now, if you're burning well above that, you can still maintain your weight loss goals. If you are restricting yourself and you feel very restricted during the week, and then you save it for this like feast on the weekend, you might end up really going over that number and end up resulting in binge eating. So I'm a firm believer in having a little bit of everything when it comes to your diet and not really depriving yourself too much of anything, at least once in a while, because I find that type of behavior is often what results in binge eating. If you don't have an eating disorder to begin with, this is aside from that. That's what I find. Usually restriction leads to huge binges. So if you can maintain some balance within your diet, that is going to help you. Things that I use personally for cravings, I'm that person that for the most part I turn to some type of drink or coffee from Starbucks. Sorry about that. To help me with my cravings. I like the birthday cake gum. That's my jam. I like to have teas, David's tea. Those are also things I like to have. Now these things are fairly calorie free, so you can have them in your diet. Keep in mind they're going to be artificially sweetened, so in moderation. I mean, a sugar-free Jell-O here and there is not gonna hurt if you're having bowls of them a day. That's probably gonna upset your digestion a little bit, and you probably will feel like shit, and that's something I personally can't do because my arthritis goes insane if I do that. So having little treats here and there. A lot of the time I will add dark chocolate into my diet as one of my fats during the day, and I find that really helps with cravings. Or having popcorn as one of my carbs in the day, that really helps. So even just having it in my regular day-to-day basis, having some variety and having some balance, I find really helps with staying on plan and avoiding cravings, and really just avoiding binge eating overall. I think one last thing about that is I find it really helpful to plan my cheat meals. So I don't kind of just sporadically like go out and eat whatever I feel like I do, whatever I feel like eating, because I've done that and that results in bad things. So I don't do that anymore. For the most part, I plan ahead what I'm going to eat. I actually calculate how many calories it's going to be so I don't ruin all the work that I put in throughout the week. And then I go ahead and have that cheat meal, and I can still maintain my goals. So being prepped and prepared, and it's the same thing like finding balance in your life, being organized. It's the same thing like having your meals prepped for the week. It really makes a big difference. If you're planned and you know, I'm going to have this burger, I'm going to have this cookie, and then I'm done. Once you know that, it's a little bit easier for you to register, okay, that was my cheat meal, I'm done. If you go and you say, I'm just going to have whatever I feel like tonight, you're not going to have a good time after that. So that's what I would suggest for keeping your cheat meals into meals rather than binges, because they do add up really fast. So something super important to keep in mind, but great question. Thank you. Okay, this one is on my other phone, if you may notice a phone change. Okay. How do you deal with people's judgmental opinions on how you spend your time and live your life? How do you deal with other people's opinions in how hard you work, or if they think you're overworked? Basically people saying, why would you do that? You're crazy for spending all your time in the gym, exercise, eating, and blah, 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 blah. I'm sure a lot of you guys, if you haven't made the lifestyle transition, or if, you know, fitness is a big part of your life, have heard this. You won't be the first, you won't be the last. If you are a normal person who doesn't fitness, this lifestyle, yeah, it can seem a little crazy to people. We do spend a lot of time in the gym. We spend a lot of time eating and thinking about food and planning about our food. So yeah, it can definitely seem weird to others. And that's kind of one of those, it kind of goes back to that hater question where you just kind of gotta do you. Like, it's difficult if your friends and your family don't understand, but I've said this in a few blogs that I've written before. You have to be that example, and you have to be the person that proves them wrong. Maybe in the past you were that, you know, extreme dieter, and you'd follow diets for a couple weeks and you'd drop off. And so now when you do these things, they're like, oh, here we go, another one. You spend so much time trying to do this. It is your job to prove to them, I mean, it's not your job, but if you care about what they think and you want them to be more understanding, it's now up to you to prove to them that you're serious about this, that this is your life, and just finding a different way to relate to them. The thing I think that we forget is not everybody cares about this, but that's okay. It's not your job to make everybody care about your fitness lifestyle. Just because you had a kick-ass lift that day and you hit a PR and you hit all your meals and you drank all your water, just because you think that's amazing and maybe your fitness friend thinks that's amazing and your coach thinks that's amazing, the regular people in your life may not care about that. So I think we can get really, really excited about these things when we first start this lifestyle, and then we want everybody else to be excited as well, and it can be really disappointing when other people aren't excited, but it is the reality of it. I mean, I know that for me personally, when my husband tries to talk to me about cars and how cars sound and how they look and so on, my eyes completely glaze over, and I have to work super, super hard to even pretend like I care about this subject. But that's just the way it goes. That is just like fitness to you. People may not care. And that's okay. They don't have to care. Now, if you're actually getting criticized and judged and picked on, The number one thing I would say is choose the people that you surround yourself with wisely. They will determine your level of success. If the people around you are bringing you down when it comes to your lifestyle, you need new people. That sounds brutal. But seriously, you really do. You need new people. It's difficult for us to relate to something that we don't understand. I get that. But if you are doing something to better your life and you're working hard and you're making changes and you're feeling good and you're happy, and the people who are in your life who are supposed to care about you are putting you down because of it, you need to have a serious conversation with these people about how you feel. And if that doesn't work, then it really is time to surround yourself with different people. You don't have to explain yourself why you're doing this and if you enjoy it and if it makes you happy. Now, if you want to get other people on board, this is the time where you may have to explain yourself, and that's fine. But just, I think the most important thing to take away from this is those who really matter will not have an issue with you trying to better your life. I think a lot of the time people who are insecure in the things they're doing themselves or things that they may not think that they can physically do themselves may put other people down. But those who are working on themselves and working on their own goals in a good spot in their life won't be the people to put you down. So the thing that I would say is definitely don't push this lifestyle on other people. Don't try to force it on them or make them interested. Don't judge people based on what they're eating. If somebody's having lollipops and pizzas, so be it. Let them. Don't tell them how much fat is in there or that they're eating sugar. Who cares? That's their life. And then the same should go back for you. So if you are one of those people that is really supportive of your friends and family and you find that you're not getting it back, this is the time to have that serious conversation with them and really let them know how important this is to you and that it isn't a fad and it's something that is sticking around. So it's also going to be their job to get used to it and to be supportive to you as you are to them on their own goals. So, yeah. That's it for the question portion from you guys. I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for taking the time to comment on my videos and to leave these questions for me to answer for you and to take the time to do so. And I really appreciate all the support so far on this channel and on these videos and all the times you guys are sharing and commenting. And that means a lot to me because I am just getting started, so it can be a little bit difficult in the beginning. But I'm really enjoying the process and I'm hoping that you guys are enjoying the videos along the way. I hope that you enjoyed this video and that you found it helpful and you got some good information or just learned a little bit more about me if you wanted to throughout it. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. I should get one of those like fingers that you take to baseball games. Yeah, I'm gonna get that. That's what you're gonna see in the next video. Please give it a thumbs up if you liked it, and subscribe below so you don't miss out on any more. I will be doing, if I don't do a video before the weekend, the next video up will be the Fit for Free number 5. If you haven't been doing them, go back and check them out. We're doing a series of workouts that you can do pretty much anywhere, and there's already 4 uploaded, so take a look, get your sweat on, get your fit on. Yeah, check them out. I hope you like them. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys next time.